This limited Kintsugi Heroes podcast series was made possible with grant funding from the Bupa Foundation Australia through their Community Grants program. If you'd like to find out more about Kintsugi Heroes, head to kintsugiheroes.com.au. Welcome to our Kintsugi Heroes special series, Australian Carers, where we shine a light on the stories of the important Australians who provide voluntary care for someone in need. In this episode, Bine Nair had a chat with Joe Coppi, a devoted husband and caregiver who has spent over a decade navigating the challenges of supporting his wife through her journey with early-onset dementia. Now, let's get to the conversation.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you for making the time for this recording.
Oh, no problem, Renee. I appreciate the opportunity to have a chat with you.
So I've read a bit about your story. For the listeners, can you tell us a little bit about your caring role?
Well, it started over 10 years ago when I realised that my wife was at the early stages of sort of a memory loss. And when we came back, we were overseas at the time, and when we came back, I went to our GP and he went through all the various tests and acknowledged that my wife had those early stages of onset dementia. At the time, when we sort of went overseas, we were deciding of downsizing and moving. And I said to my wife, Joyce, do you still want to move after 40 years in one place in Greenwood East? And she said, yes, I still want to move. So we moved to Geelong. And since then, I've been looking after my wife, the early stages myself, and now we've got a number of carers that help.
So you said you were downsizing. Does that mean that you were also changing work roles? Were you and your wife working at that point in time?
No, my wife wasn't working. She actually was doing a fair bit of volunteer work in the community at the Austin Hospital and also at Bayswater and Croydon. I was sort of part-time sort of working as a consultant from the IT perspective, looking at the stages of retirement. So we're looking at basically a smaller place and a place that was easier to get access to. Where we were was quite hilly and steep, and as you get older, you don't want those steps. So we're looking at somewhere where it's much more, easier to I suppose, live in, a smaller environment, and Geelong sort of settled the place. Less traffic, like Melbourne is very hectic. We don't have any steps; it's all level. We've got a block to the bus stop, so it's very convenient for transport. A K and a half away from a shopping centre. So we looked at all those sort of areas to make it easier as you get to an older age.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're looking for more access to facilities and resources.
Correct. Yeah.
So that was an important aspect. It's been close to 10, 12 years since you started caring for your wife, and since your life has taken a different turn. How what has that journey been like for you? Can you remember the first time you heard about the diagnosis and what was going through your mind, and how have you adapted to that over the years?
Yeah, to answer that, the first thing that came to my mind was, how are we going to beat this? How are we going to extend our way of living to the fullest for as long as possible? And at that time, we've been overseas twice. We've gone caravanning, not around Australia, but in South Australia, in Queensland. We've done the Darling River Run, which is pretty hectic going along there, where we saw no caravan, no cars for 2 days. So we've still kept very active as much as possible. And that was really, the attitude is to be positive and to say, okay, what have I been doing in the past? How can I keep on doing what I like to do together?
And why is it difficult for I'm sure everyone doesn't think that way, staying positive. What was the difference in your life that that helped you focus on that specifically?
I think it's just the previous sort of lifestyle we had. We're always very busy and doing things. We were involved with athletics with the three girls we had. They're
Mm-hmm.
still active. Their kids are active too. So we've always been sort of busy in doing things. We used to do a lot of holidaying, weekends, and so forth. And I think that's sort of it's our lifestyle, the way we sort of have lived our life. And to be frank, when we got married, right, which next year is 50 years, and 50-year
Wow.
anniversary next year. When we got married on a Wednesday. On the Thursday, we're on a plane, right, and we're overseas, and it wasn't like a normal honeymoon. We were away for 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. Now, we worked in those 3 years. You know, I was a garbo. I was a dishwasher. My wife, I was a chambermaid. You know, we ran a pub. We did anything that was going. So that was our attitude: is just have a go. If you make a mistake, the only reason you made a mistake is because you've had a go. You will not make a mistake
Okay.
if you don't have a go.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you're calling mistakes are probably an opportunity because to learn and grow from it, isn't there?
Correct. That's exactly right. Because you stand back and say, "Gee, I mucked that one up. Now, how do I fix it? Or how do I improve it? Or do I just don't do that anymore?"
And what was your, I mean, I'm guessing you both were sitting down together at the doctor's office when you heard about the diagnosis. And
Yes.
did you both sit down and have a chat about this, or did you? I mean, there would have been a bit of a shock or a bit of I don't know, a bit of people people can sometimes struggle come to terms with what they're hearing. You might have heard that from other carers. As a from a male perspective, I think it. I'm just putting myself in your shoes, thinking as a provider, knowing that the one that I love the most is you know it's got this disease or this illness. Um, what was going through your mind, or how did you kind of relay that across to your wife?
Well, what actually occurred was when I realised that there was a memory loss during our trip overseas, came back and I went to see Jim, our GP, um, and because I had a checkup, and I said, "Jim, I think something's not quite right with the wife. What do I do?" He said, "Okay, make the appointment and just tell her that I want to see her." So that's how it occurred. Okay, so when she went to see him, right, then he organised other appointments and various scans and full skeletal and brain scans and so forth. And then we sat down with him and he said, "Look, this is where it's at. You've got this early stages." And she was okay. Okay, so we're now three of us were there in the same consulting room, and she was fine. And then he said, "Look, I'll organise an appointment for Eastern Health. You go and see some specialists over there." And they confirmed the same sort of situation, right? And they said, "Can we have the whole family together?" So all of us, our three daughters and ourselves, okay, we're all in the one area, one room, okay, and we're told the whole story, and we accepted it. We all accepted it. So it was just a situation was, okay, Mum's got this. It's not going to go away. How do we go about working through it? And this is where she still decided to move home from Greenwood to Geelong. She selected Geelong. Right? It was her decision. I left it to her. And when, because of settlement between the two houses, we had a week's delay. We actually stayed in the caravan park. She drove her car, and when we got to Geelong, she said, "I'm not driving anymore." She accepted it. She was quite capable of driving, but she accepted it. And I think it's the awareness and acceptance that you say, "Okay, I've got this. How do I go about maximising what I have got, the time frame?" Now, people have got cancer, and some people say, "I've got 6 months. What can I do in that 6 months' time?" And there's various people that have got very progressive dementia that, last 1 or 2 years.
And so you talked about how your wife's attitude changed after she heard about the diagnosis. I mean, you obviously went from being a husband and looking at retirement to to becoming a carer. What is it like for you when when you started caring? Because you talked about some of the challenges that you faced, right, when you first moved to Geelong.
Now, look, it's I can't really, I suppose I can't really answer it completely. It's a situation where I accept the role, but at the early stages, it wasn't very difficult. Right, I kept on still doing my activities, and during that early stages, even just before COVID, right, my wife's was very capable of going out on her own still. Because we kept on being very active. So there wasn't a very heavy load on me at the time. I actually, because of my network in IT, I also got phone calls to say, look, Joe, can you come and help me in this situation? That's in computers, right? And so forth. So I did a bit of casual work on and off. So it didn't stop me from keeping in touch with my friends and contacts and so forth. And I've still kept that sort of going. Now she's got more carers, right, helping her. I've got more time for myself. Okay, so I've also done volunteer work. Down at Geelong Yacht Club, there's a thing called sailability for kids that are in wheelchairs and so forth. Yeah, so I've gone out in the boat and gone out with little kids and young kids and helped them. Right, so I've been sort of active in some of those sort of other areas. Okay, I've also to look after myself now that there's a moral load on my wife. I've joined the men's shed, okay? and
Okay.
um, and we're doing activities there. Okay? So because I'm involved in rowing, I do some cleaning down at the rowing club down here in Geelong. Okay? And it keeps me in the network in groups. So the whole thing is, and it's very important for probably a male, because we tend to say, oh, she'll be right, to keep that network going and not to isolate yourself and sort of be one of the difficulties is loneliness. uh, so explore your capabilities in your network, and don't be afraid to say, look, I need to go out with you, mate, go for a beer or go for a drive somewhere, I need a break. Don't be afraid, because we're all we're human, and we all have issues, right? And whatever you've done in the past, try and continue that or expand that. There's a lot of volunteers required. There's a lot of volunteer work around everywhere. There are people asking for people to help. Go out and help.
For often, uh, for often a lot of carers, they keep saying that they're busy doing their caring role, and they're feeling exhausted and they're feeling tired. And I think what you're highlighting is that it's important to prioritize ourselves first and think about what our needs are, not only the person that we're caring for, but also what is going to keep us going.
Absolutely. In fact, the most important person doing the caring role is not the person that you're caring for, it's yourself. If you can't help yourself to help the person you're caring for, you won't be able to care for that person. So you got to make sure that you're fit and well mentally, okay, and active, and that way you can do a good caring role for your loved one or whoever, your family or whoever it may be. But if you're not, looking after yourself, if you don't look after yourself, how can you look after another person?
There are so many other carers out there. I know that who will be struggling to maybe organize their time, or feeling exhausted, or feeling tired, or you know not being able to make time for themselves. What tips would you have for them? Because as you said, the first person we need to care for is ourselves.
Well, one of the various, look, there's so many things around that they can sort of make contact, and I think possibly the easiest and best one, and they're all around Australia, is the men's shed. And that's a very simple way of making contact, and going to the men's shed. Basically allows you to go there at your own time, wherever those days are, have a cup of coffee, have a cup of tea, right, in a group, have a bit of a chat. And at first, you may feel a bit embarrassed or, reserved or scared or concerned or don't want to do it or whatever. But it's just it's just going down to a cafe. But um, my first time going there, I thought, what am I doing here? And now I'm really enjoying myself. and it's changed my perspective as far as dementia is concerned, where I'm actually helping other older guys in the men's shed being active. So you'd be surprised when you sort of make contact with, well, as far as I'm concerned, the men's shed is probably a good starting point, the simple. How many other people are in a similar sort of boat or situation? It only takes, one morning to go and have a cup of tea, and all of a sudden you realise you've got contacts, and then you can start thinking about yourself a bit more and expand from that. And then whatever previous activities and interests you've had, make sure that you continue with that. And that may help you look after yourself, because if you can look after, like I said, if you look after yourself, then you can look after that person you're caring for. So I'm actually quite impressed with the men's shed. And they're so, they volunteer a lot of work to, well, people that haven't got homes and houses and furniture, and there was fires out in around Ararat and Beaufort area, and we got a lot of tools and things, and we put them up in the truck and sent them up there, and the farmers were very happy. So there's a lot of things there. And if you're a hands-on sort of person, and you want to do something like that, well, there's another volunteer, Lars A. All right, you spend a couple of days, couple of nights helping where they've had floods and fires, and help farmers put up fences and things. A group there that's on the website and portal. There's a lot of activities these days, if you're prepared to sort of just give it a go.
So people, so your main recommendation to people is just, just get out and try something different, something to look after yourself, and you'll be surprised by what might be in store.
Absolutely. Just have a try of something. You may feel, scared, reserved, and us blokes, we can do everything. We're tough, right? But down deep, we're not. Down deep, we're scared, and that's probably why we say we're tough on the outside. But inside, and you've got to be prepared to say, yeah, I am tough, but I need help, or I need to do something so that I can help. Take it on the chin.
Do you think carers themselves need to access some sort of counseling from time to time to get that support as well?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that is actually, I did that. There's counselling available through the government funding.
To the Carer Gateway.
Yeah, that's correct. And I felt I didn't need it, but I did it, right? And it was a good chat, right? I went to 3 sessions, and it was just a matter of having a cup of tea and a bit of a chat, and it just takes a bit of load off your shoulders, and you walk out and you feel, "Man, had a good old chat." And hopefully you're thinking a bit better, and you've got a little bit less weight on your shoulders. And yeah, at first I thought, this is not going to help me, and I thought, oh yeah, look, I'll go. The government's paying for it, it's there for a reason. Why not use it?
Yeah, I mean that's so it was a chance that you took, and you found it beneficial.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what I suggest to any other carers. If there are facilities there, it may not fit the bill 100%. Just give it a go. Just try it. See how that goes. What can you lose?
Exactly, exactly. That's a good tip. Now, a lot of carers as well, Joe. They don't believe in that word caring or being called a carer. They sometimes they don't people don't stigma around being a carer, and sometimes the organization that they're reaching out to, sometimes they put a stigma on the word carer. Have you ever come across any kind of
No, I haven't personally, but I understand that sort of word carer, and it's sort of demeaning in a way. What could I say? Lower class or lower sort of work, or you're not getting paid, or there's a lot of permutation to carer. Personally, I don't like the name, the word carer. You're you're helping somebody. you're not caring full time for that person, because the person's an individual, and they do their own thing in a certain way, depending on what illness they may have. Some people are in wheelchairs and they need a bit of help sometimes. A lot of them help themselves, right? You're not caring for that person, you're actually assisting or helping that person. With mental, you can't see when you go out shopping, right? That person's got some sort of illness. But you're there as a helper, and people around don't know. But there is a learning I've noticed over the last 10 years, when I started this journey, how more awareness there is, especially with my wife with dementia and mental. She's not physically, issues. She's more than capable, walking and everything else. Right? You see in the street, there's nothing wrong with her, but mentally, there's a lot of things wrong with her. And there's what I've noticed more so in supermarkets and so forth. When you go through the checkout, there's a lot more awareness of people these days of mental issues. So the word stigma on a carer, still has that, and I think it will continue to have that, one way or the other. Unfortunately, that's what we worked on. Carers. Well, we care for people. We do care. We're a helper. We're help. So unfortunately, there is that stigma. Yes.
And along with the stigma, there's also the whole process of trying to apply for services, or trying to make sure you're eligible, putting in applications and checking for eligibility, and reaching out to different services, and trying to find the right services. You had your challenge when you were going through India as initially, and that can sometimes also be troublesome for carers. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very valid point. Sometimes you pull your hair out, with the processes and the paperwork and documentation, and the number of times you're on the phone, waiting, and then you're told, no, you got to fill this other form in. Unfortunately, that's what we've got. It is very frustrating. Personally, you just got to nail to it and keep going, and push. There is a lot more helpers these days, and depending on the person you're caring for, where they slot in, aged care, or disability areas, or whatever may be, those sort of areas, working with those organisations, and there are a lot of helpers. When we first started this journey at Dementia Australia, we had a lady that came and helped us in the early stage, because I had no idea about NDIS. Right? And they took us through that journey and helped us. Right? So if you don't know, and a lot of us don't know at the beginning, no idea at all, work on the association that you've got, and get somebody there to give you a bit of a hand, to help you through those, that sort of processes, the documentation, and be open about what you need and what sort of help you need, and so forth. So, and there's a lot more helpers there in this process.
And so basically, do not try to do it all by yourself. Don't try to be too expecting too much of yourself, saying I should be able to figure this out by myself. I should be able to do this myself. I don't need help. So don't be rejecting of help that's available out there. That's basically what you're saying, kind of.
Yeah. One little comment I'll say to that, and I agree completely with that. Don't be so knowledgeable. Be a user.
Mm.
Use everyone and anyone, and whatever you can. Make them do the work for you as much as possible. Be lazy.
Well, I mean, as a user, we don't need to be too self-reliant on ourselves. We've got as a carer, there's plenty of responsibility that's upon us. At different times of the day. So when there's services available, why not use it? And you rely on a number of different services. How you got involved with Dementia Australia. Is that important for for carers to be involved with some of these organizations that do work with the with the illness or the condition that the person is diagnosed with?
Well, that was my process. I sort of said, okay, my wife's got dementia. I looked at Dementia Australia, got involved, got active in there, advocate for various projects and so forth. It's a learning journey. You're always learning something as you go along. There's always somebody else that's done something for you that is similar and can help you. And there's a number of groups, and you pass on different knowledge and information and processes and things that's happened to you. And the other person said, "Oh, I haven't thought of that one." So yes, whatever may be the case, get involved, be sort of active, and basically communicate and talk to people. Don't be an island to yourself. The more you can get information and assistance and help from people that have done it, perhaps similar or whatever, the easier it is for you. And the more you can apply the person you're caring for, and help along the journey, and the better you are, and the less work you've got for yourself too, and the more time to do things that you want to do. So get involved with any organisation, any association that can provide assistance and help, and use it. They're there for a reason.
Good, good point. Good bit of information for people to think about. I was going to ask you as well, in terms of, carers also need respite, right? I mean, there's services, or there are people who come to your home and, and take your wife to go and do different activities, right? And for you, it is more of men's shed. Are there any other respite-based activities that you take part in, like a retreat, or or going to training, or?
Well, I used to do some coaching, rowing coach, but now I just do some work down the rowing club, right, and active in a group there. At times, like I said, I've gone off and done some volunteer work in the country, farmers.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind
Mm-hmm.
doing some activity and work on those sort of bases. Okay? I've got a little project that I'm actually building a pizza oven.
Right.
Okay, I've never done anything like this before, but I thought, okay, and it's quite a big diameter. It's about 950 in diameter, so it's quite a big pizza oven, and I'm building it from scratch. Right, so I've kept interest in other things that
Using YouTube.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of that Google, YouTube around, and I thought, okay, I'll do a bit of that. You're spot on, you know. Um, but I've got a caravan, and I've gone up on my own for a few days. I'll go and I do a bit of fishing. Just keep a lot of those sort of activities and interests going. So that's my outlet, I suppose. Those sort of things. So anyone that's got hobbies, keep them going.
And you've got support organized for your wife while you're going away by yourself, and doing these things. Is that right?
Absolutely. I'll just give you not example. I'll tell you exactly what I've got. I've got a lady that comes in on Monday at 8:00, okay, until 4:00. Okay. At 8:15, I go rowing. I've got a veterans crew out on the water. We go for a row for about an hour, right? And then we do some cleaning down the rowing club. Okay. On Tuesday, I've got a lady that comes for a couple of hours to do some cleaning. I go off to the men's shed. And then I've got another lady that comes at 11:00 to get Joyce organised, to get picked up by a personal trainer to go to the gym for over an hour. And then that lady comes back, okay, and looks after Joyce for that rest of the afternoon until 5. She can also stay overnight. And same with the lady on Monday. She can stay sleep overnight. Okay. On Wednesday, I've got a similar sort of thing. Another lady comes along, and they go shopping or whatever may be the case. This week they had morning melodies. Now I'm not sure whether you're aware of morning melodies.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there was a replay of Elvis on Wednesday. Okay, and then they have lunch at the hotel. So the day's gone there. Right. Yesterday, Thursday, was a sort of similar to Tuesday. Lady comes along and goes out with Joyce and Venus, they're our assistant dog, for a couple of hours. And then the personal trainer comes along, picks Joyce up and takes to the gym. And then the same lady comes back in the afternoon after the gym. Today, same sort of thing, except the lady's got another interview. I said, don't worry about coming this morning. When you come, you arrive, and then she'll have Joyce for the rest of the day. Excuse me. And this afternoon, we've got another lady that comes from 2:30 until 5, that can stay until 8 o'clock. Now, on Wednesday, the lady that came on Wednesday afternoon, I said, look, I need a bit of a break. I need to go and have a sauna and gym and what have you. She said, that's okay. I'll organise dinner, and what time do you want me to leave? I said, I'll be back by 8 o'clock. So there's that that was the week. And that's pretty well a consistent week of support. So I can go away for 2 or 3 nights, no problems. And I've got the backup people, the support people will help stay overnight, will cook. They know Joyce's routine, okay? And they're comfortable with, taking her out or doing activities.
I mean, that sounds like a great great plan in place. What would your recommendation be for someone who is listening to this and they just found themselves caring for a loved one, and they don't have all these supports in place? I'm guessing it took time to get all this in place and all this together. Where would people start?
Well, Google. That's how I started. There's a lot of companies that actually have carers and support structures. Look at Dementia Australia and what they recommend, if it's dementia, if it's whatever other illness or activities or issues they may have, whether, it's a blind vision impaired person. Go to Vision
Mm-hmm.
Australia, see what activities they've got there, see what intros they can offer there. Whatever the issue is with the person to be cared for, go down that path and look at that organisation, association, and see what sort of they recommend as far as companies that actually have carers on their books. Have a chat, go and talk to them. Don't just on the phone. I've gone out to the office. I've gone out and spent time and looked at what the structure is like, and then try out 1 or 2 carers. Make sure that when the carer comes, that you are here and spend some time with them to give them up to speed with what they need to do and how you need help to provide to your loved one. So it's important that when the carer comes for the first time, to be there and have a cup of tea, have a chat, see how she relates to the person you're caring for, and then working from there, and and you can't be I suppose a person that will just straight away, oh yeah, I can handle this, I can handle that. And you may not get along with that person. You may click, you may not click. Right? So don't be in a rush. Don't sort of say, oh, okay, I've got a carer, that's it. No, take your time. Make them aware that you're going to, make it easy for them, but also that they need to understand the person and get alongside and get along with that person.
So that's good information for people to think about. Basically, do your due diligence. Make sure you test them out. Make sure you try them out. Ask the questions that you have. Make sure you're entirely comfortable, and don't take what they say as gospel. Basically,
That's correct. And once you've introduced that, I've put together a 1-page, a day in the life of my wife, Joyce. Okay? And from 6 o'clock, the tablets, I've got a tap timer, which comes around and sort of activates the tablet she needs to take, right? And feed the dog, and then breakfast, shower and so forth, and activities during the day and then the evening, so that it's there on the kitchen bench. Okay. I've also got a diary. Okay. So each carer makes a note of how Joyce was that day. So the next carer that comes along the next day can have a read, right? Oh, she wasn't very happy yesterday, or what, or she had an accident or something like that. Okay. So they're all reading what's been happening, and they're all up, they're all on the same page. So something like that, that helps the carer, okay, and it also helps you. So whatever
having the transparency.
whatever you need from a carer's point of view, make sure that you've got that. I've got a laminator on one sheet of paper, okay, in a sort of virtually a A4 size on the kitchen. Then I've also got a diary, right, to make note, and so it's a prompter there. I also got a couple of basically plastic sleeves, and in those plastic sleeves, I actually got on top of it. I've got today. I don't put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I just put today. Okay, make it nice and simple for my wife. And in that sleeve, I got the photograph of the carer that's coming that day.
Okay.
So I say, Joyce, oh, Joanne's coming today. There's the photograph. So visual, okay? All right, because my wife's got that dementia frontal temporal, and it's sort of vague, sort of memory loss. And so I make her aware who's coming. So, and she recognizes the faces. And so depending on what the illness or issue with that person, try and get the tools to help them. I've done this from that point of view for my wife. Okay, now someone in a different situation, just think outside the the 9 dots or whatever, and look at what you can do to make it easier. I'll put labels right on the kitchen cupboard doors. Okay, the fridge has got a label, fridge. Okay, in the walk-in wardrobe, I've got labels there, t-shirts, shorts, pants, socks. So that she can identify the drawer. Otherwise, the drawer's all the same. And what's in the drawers? Okay. I've also so things like that to make it easier. And when that carer comes in, I go through all that. So when you introduce a carer, show them what you've done or what you're going to do, or they may have ideas too. Put them into place. I've also got sensor lights. I put in sensor lights at night so that when my wife gets out of bed, the light goes on. Okay. So the carers that I've introduced are all aware of this. It's not just coming into the house and saying, "Oh, okay, what do I do?" So help the carer, and you'll get a better carer to help the person you want to help.
Yeah. So create a better experience for the carer, and then they automatically will create a better experience for the person you're caring for.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Is there, I mean, you've shared a great deal of detail, Joe, and thank you for going into that into the detail, because I'm sure it'll help people. Is there anything that that you want to tell people out there who are listening, who might be caring for someone, whether it's whether it's a husband caring for his wife, or whether it's a son caring for their mother, whether it's a daughter caring for their father, you know, or anything anything dementia related, because you're such an advocate for those who might have an early onset of dementia. Is there anything that you would like to say?
Oh, well, I think I've pretty well said it all. I think it's a journey. It's a journey, and you got to be aware that journey changes all the time. Um, like I said, I've used Dementia Australia a lot. Right? I've also put in a lot of time back into Dementia Australia for things that I've learned and my personal experience. And I think the key thing is, don't get depressed. Don't sort of basically fall apart. Be positive, and just keep at it, whatever the situation may be. So there's really, the attitude is very important to everyone. And you've got that journey. There are a lot worse people in this world than yourself, a heck of a lot. The people just losing lives and dying and wars and things and all that sort of stuff. And you've got to be positive, saying, well, it's a journey. I've got a cross. I've got to bear that cross and do the best I can. But make sure you really look after yourself. That's really key. If you let yourself go, right, then you've virtually lost the case. You've lost the help you can give to that person that you love.
What are you and your wife looking forward to next in the coming years?
I'm not sure whether that will eventuate, but we would like to go overseas again next year. Now that's my high aim.
Any particular place?
Well, probably go back to Italy, where my history, we were refugees after the Second World War. And where we come from, it's not Italy anymore, it's Croatia. and we'd like to sort of do a bit of I've still got relatives over there. Go and see some of the ones that are still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And just it's a superstition. I'm not really religious as per se, but when we went overseas in 75 in Rome, they've got these doors called the holy doors. They open up every 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
We walked through them in 75. We're over there in 2000. We walked through them. The next one is next year.
25. Yeah.
It's just one of these things that, it's a bit of a fun sort of thing more than anything else. It may not eventuate. Realistically, we'll do a bit more traveling in the caravan, short trips, and see a bit more of Australia.
Thank you, Joe. It's been it's been a pleasure just hearing about your journey, and and you being so so positive about about what's occurring, and you being so proactive in your caring role are a great testament for for men who are caring, and also knowing that just because you have a diagnosis of dementia doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. So I really appreciate your time and everything that you're doing for your wife. Your wife is really fortunate to have you in her life, and and you're very fortunate to have your wife in your life. So I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Vinay. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss some of my experiences and the travels that I've done with my wife with the dementia story.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Australian Carers, a Kintsugi Heroes special series. Thank you to Colin Lilly for permission to use Broken as our theme music for this series. If you enjoyed this conversation, share the podcast with a friend and let us know by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support Kintsugi Heroes and the stories we share, head to kintsugiheroes.com.au and follow the instructions to make a tax-deductible donation. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.